This is the very first Final Fantasy in the series and is one of my all-time favorites. But one of the things that I like about the remakes that have been made throughout the years is that most items, like weapons, armor, and magic, are half price, so that way you don't have to grind so much gold. But the thing I don't like about the remakes is that they're kind of happy-go-lucky. So, what we're gonna do is make the original Final Fantasy more like what we want. And I'll show you how to do that. So let's make a new game. This is my edited version, and I just want to show you what I've done, at least partially what I've done. So we're just gonna make a quick party here. I usually run with 2 fighters, a white mage and a black mage. Okay, we come up to town here. This is the first town of the game, and let's go into the weapon shop. And we're gonna buy, and as you can see, if you've played the original Final Fantasy, all of these weapons are half price. So these would originally be 10, and these would be 5. And you can see the same thing. I'll go to the magic, I'll go to black magic. And these are all now 50 instead of 100. So you're asking yourself, I bet, Mike, how in the world did you manage to do that? Well, I'm gonna show you how I did it. So, we are going to come up here. This emulator is called Messin, by the way. It has good debugging tools, so I highly recommend using this one if you're gonna be doing this. So let's go down here. This is the original. And again, we'll make a quick party. 2 fighters. White mage. And black mage. And we'll come up. Let's go to town here. And boom. Right into the town. Oh, sorry. You'll notice that wasn't correct. Let's go to cheats real quick. Okay, so I've in this process I stumbled upon this memory address 51, and the value here will change what store loads in the game. So let's just disable that. It's actually a very useful Game Genie code for this. Actually, it's not a Game Genie code, but it's a direct edit of memory. So it's very useful. Okay, so now you can see that the prices are back to normal, what they should be. So how in the world did I manage to do all of this? Okay, so the first thing you're gonna want to do, you're gonna want to go to cheats, go to the cheat finder, and you see a bunch of memory addresses on the right side here. So we're gonna look for values. We'll go equal to, and let's let's select an item now. And we'll see if we can't find something equal to 10. Okay. So, remember, this is in hexadecimal. Hexadecimal. So, 0A equals 10 in hexadecimal. And I already know what we want to find. The memory address. So, basically, through trial and error, you find this memory address 030E. Okay, 030E. The memory address we really want is 030C, but you'll find that out through experimentation, trial and error. So 030E. So we're gonna cancel out of this. And we're gonna go to our debugger. And if we go, let's see, if we go to, I'll just do it this way. Hold on a second. So let's go back. Let's close the debugger real quick. Okay. Now let's go to debug again. Let's hit our wooden nunchaku, and the program stops. So 030E will eventually lead you to finding out, as you can see down here, because this is just for text, but this is where the actual value is stored. So that's going to lead you to a whole bunch of what we call assembly code. Assembly code. And in Nintendo World, the NES used a processor known as the 6502. So that is the type of assembly we are working with, 6502. And I barely knew a thing about it coming into this. So don't feel like you have to be an expert or anything, because I certainly am not an expert. So follow the code down and you get to this little guy here. This is called jump to subroutine. So basically what that means is when it hits this line of code, it's going to go to this address right there. And okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the debugger here. You can set breakpoints. So whenever this memory address gets written to, the game stops and it brings you to the debugger. So that way you can step through the program. And I have more of these breakpoints set in this subroutine. So we're going to hit F5 to continue. So now we are in the subroutine, and I've set a bunch of breakpoints, basically just trying to figure out how in the world values are calculated. What this program is doing is basically some form of indexing is going on. So it's going to store the value, the hexadecimal value of 38 in address 12. Then it's going to store the hexadecimal value of BC in address 13. Okay. With me so far? Alright. You don't really need to know how it gets those values. All you have to know is it got the values. But this is really important. So, okay, so basically this line of code, the comma y is actually an unnecessary bit of code on the part of the developers. So that actually doesn't even need to be in there. It does need to be down here, but it doesn't need to be up here, so just ignore that. So it's going to load the value of address 12. And you're like, why do that? Because you just set the value in address 12 up here. Well, notice these parentheses here. This is called an indirect addressing. So basically, what we have done is, remember how we set the value of 38, hexadecimal 38 into 12, and hexadecimal BC into 13. Well, the NES has the ability to make that a full 2-byte address. Because this is only 1 byte, this is only 1 byte, but addresses can be 2 bytes. So what it's doing here is, first it will look at, you'll say, okay, indirect load from 12. So it's going to be like, okay, 38, but that's not a full address. So we're going to look at the next one over, which is BC. However, in Nintendo Land, the value at address 13 is the most significant byte. So instead of the address being 38 BC, it will actually be BC 38. And it would say that here, but I have labeled it, but you can see right in the window under address, it is BC 38. So now that we've got that address, we know that's where the value of the item is. So we're going to right click it and we're going to say edit in memory viewer. So we have BC30 here and we go over to 8 and voila. Now we see that that value here is A. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to want to change that, right? Because we want half price items. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that A to a 5. Now we come over here, look at this value. That's a 5, right? Well, we know that there's a couple of things in the store only worth 5 gold. And I'm willing to bet you that that's one of those items, right? I mean, I already know, but you could probably make the assumption that this is going to be one of those items. And if it's not, you could always change it back, right? So let's make that a 2. And then let's make that a 2 because that's another one. And this, I bet that's another one of those items that's worth 10. So let's make that a 5. And then down here, let's make that a 5. And now, hopefully, after all that's said and done. Well, wait, actually, let me show you something else. For your own sanity, you can add labels to these memory addresses. So I've added a label for the nunchucks, this wooden nunchucks. And every item value is actually 2 bytes long, but if the second byte is just 0, there's really no point in making it the label 2 bytes in length. But just keep in mind that it's not always, that second byte's not always going to be 0, like in the case here, right there. That's for the second item store, right there. So you're going to want to change that to 113. And I don't even remember what value that is. I just know that's it divides nicely like that. It's only when you start getting into dividing letters by 2 that it gets the hexadecimal gets kind of confusing. But in any case, let's close out of that. Now that we've made those edits, and we'll close out of that and reload the shop, and voila, look at that. All of those items are now half a cheat, and like I said, while I was messing around with item values, I just happened to stumble upon this weapon shop change code, which is actually quite useful if your goal is to make everything in the game half priced, so that way you don't actually have to advance through the game in order to see where the values are. And I have right here just some values for the weapon shop: armor, white magic, black magic. I found a couple of like debug shops too. Really interesting stuff. So let's go here, and the first shop's value was 01, so let's now make this 02 and activate it, and you'll see that it's gonna work here. Buy, and look at that. Now this is the second shop of the game. This is the shop that you find in the Pirate Town of Provoca. Okay, let's open up our debugger with our breakpoints again. Let's select short sword and step through, and there's our memory address right there. So let's go to edit in memory viewer, and boom, it's right where I said it was going to be, that 02. Remember, you read the byte over, okay? So the value isn't 2602, it is 0226. So you change that 1, and then come over here 1, 3, and then do the same here. 1, 3, just like that. 1, 1, 3. And the scimitar, I don't know where that. Oh, I guess it was right there. Okay. Then, alright, so the scimitar is right there. Now, half of C. I'm so bad at doing hexadecimal arithmetic. I am so bad at doing hexadecimal arithmetic. So let's go to the calculator here. And C8. So we just divide that by 2 is 64. Okay, 64. Alright, so let's change that to 64. Alright, and then you can add labels as you go along, because, and I highly recommend doing that, because items get repeated in the store and it can be very difficult to remember what you've edited and haven't. So we make those changes, we close out of the debugger, and we reload the shop, and look at that, everything is now half price. Okay, everybody, well, I hope that you've enjoyed that little tutorial on hacking, and now you can go through, if you want to, and make all the things in the shops of the original Final Fantasy half price, like in the remakes. This is probably one of the easiest things you can do with ROM hacking, but I am still really proud of myself, having had no knowledge about how the debugger works, about how 6502 assembly works, and I was able to do that anyway. It just goes to show you that if you believe in yourself and you apply yourself, you can achieve almost anything, because if a bum like me can do it, so can you. Never forget that. Okay, everybody, I hope that you've enjoyed this. Give me a big thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to my channel and join the Click by hitting the bell icon as well, so that way you never miss one of my uploads. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ASMR Mike, because that is where I post most of the channel updates. you all have a great night.